Black like me. Black like me. Black like me.
You're listening to Black Like Me with Dr. Alex G., a podcast that invites you to experience the world through the perspective of one black man, one conversation, one story, or even one rant at a time. Here's Dr. G.
Hey, good people. I want to welcome you back to another exciting episode of Black Like Me with Dr. Alex G. Let me tell you, I'm having fun already. Listen, I've got a gentleman in my office who I've been in my studios. I've been talking to about this podcast for a couple of years. We're going to have an interesting conversation about black motorcycle clubs, particularly one that he helped start here in Madison, Wisconsin. My special guest is Mr. Nolan Dunham. But I call him Mr. Nolan because I work out of a restaurant that he's running. And so Mr. Dunham, Mr. Nolan, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine, Alex. I'm doing okay.
I'm glad you're here today. I'm really glad you're here. Now we're going to talk about something that you were passionate about, motorcycles and motorcycle clubs. But before I do that, I got some questions I got to ask you because I have this segment on my podcast, Mr. Nolan, that's called Black Icebreakers. And so I ask all my black guests some of these questions. No, it'll be easy for you because you're from Chicago, right?
Yep.
Born and raised?
Born and raised.
You're from the West Side, right?
South Side.
The West Side?
South Side.
Maywood?
Inglewood and Morgan Park, man.
I don't want to make you mad because you're from the South Side, man. My folks were raised in the Morgan Park. You got me talking about Morgan Park, Douglas Park area on the West Side. So that's where we lived before we came here in the Morgan Park area. Okay, all right. So you already answered the first one, where you grew up. All right. As a kid growing up, did you prefer grits or cream of wheats?
Cream of wheat.
What?
Man,
Mr. Nolan, I thought you were black. I'm sorry. This show will be.
You got to understand
we're
something.
Break the station identification. What the hell?
We grew up poor. I had more grits than man, when I got cream of wheat, I was so happy. We had grits 3 times a day.
Wait, Mr. Nolan. Wait, 3 times a day or 3 times a week?
3 times a day. I told you, we grew up dirt poor.
So you would eat, okay, so when you eat it for breakfast and then you would have it for lunch and dinner too?
If that's all we had, that's what we ate.
So when you got, okay, you know what? Eli's my witness. This is the only time I've let cream of wheat slide as an answer. But tell me this, when you did eat grits, don't let me down, Mr. Nolan. What did you put on them? Did you put butter and sugar on them? Did you put butter and salt?
Depends on what meal it was.
Okay.
If it was breakfast, it was butter and cream.
Butter and cream?
Yeah, or milk.
Uh-huh.
If it was lunch, it was butter and salt or salt pork if we had it.
Oh, so your folks would put salt pork in it?
Yeah. If it was dinner, it was butter and whatever beans she had cooked up.
Got you. So she would make grits work, and that would be like the Quaker Oat, like the grits, like the ones, the blue box.
The grits from
the grits. You said the grits. There's only one grits.
Yeah, that's why when I go to Memphis or someplace down south and stop in one of them restaurants, they always ask, "Do you want grits?" No, I don't want grits.
You do not want grits.
I don't want grits. I'm burnt out.
Okay, I like that. When you were a kid, did you have play cousins? And when you grew up, you realized that they weren't really your family, but did you have play cousins?
Hey, man, I had play cousins. I had play uncles. I had play aunties. It wasn't no Mrs. So, it was Aunt so-and-so and Aunt this and Uncle that. But my mother was in church. She was a pianist. And
I didn't know your mother was a musician. She was a church pianist?
Yeah, man. Listen, my grandfather was Church of God, founder.
Wow.
So the whole family grew up in church. I mean, I went to church since I was like, I can remember walking and talking.
Well, you know what? This helps me to move to my next question. Did you ever have to memorize an Easter speech for church?
Yes, I did.
Let me ask you this: did you ever used to hold up your index finger when you walked around in church?
Yeah, everybody had to do that.
What does that mean when black people hold up their finger in church?
That means, excuse me, I'm going somewhere.
So usually going to the bathroom. Right? So everybody that's listening, all over the world, I just want you to hold your index finger up on your right hand. When you get ready to go to the bathroom, or when you move your feet in the house of the Lord, you put that finger up. Let me tell you this: did you ever get hold on, let me say this again. Did you ever get syllable spankings? By that I mean like while your mom or daddy talked to you, like, boy, didn't I tell you? Did you get spanked like that?
Yeah, but you have to understand, I kind of avoided spankings because I knew the look. You know, my mom or my grandmother would give me a look. I knew I was in trouble.
Oh.
They didn't have to say nothing.
You knew you were.
I knew I was.
Listen, so did your grandmother live in Chicago too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I know that sometimes older people got traditions. So when it's storming and raining, did you have special traditions in your house? Were there certain things that the older folks would tell you to do if it was thundering and lightning?
Turn off the radio, turn off the TV, turn off all of that.
And why did you have to do that?
I guess they thought that it was going to attract lightning or something. I don't know.
Sometimes they would say the Lord is doing His work.
Yeah. Or something like that.
Would they cover the mirrors?
No.
They didn't, but they would turn off all the. Could you talk on the telephone while it was storming?
No.
None of that stuff. Let me see. Hold on. What else I want to ask you? This. Let me see. Did y'all have a saying when you were growing up about what it meant when it was raining and the sun was shining at the same time?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but yeah, they had a saying for that.
They used to say that the devil was beating his. The devil was beating his wife.
Yeah, something like that.
Let me ask you this: do you know how to clean chitlins?
No.
Do you want to learn how to clean chitlins?
No.
Do you eat chitlins?
I have ate them.
Oh, okay.
And hog maws.
And hog maws. Mm-hmm. This is my last one. Do you know what it means to split the pole when people are walking down the street?
You don't split the pole.
You don't split the pole. That's
you
bad.
Don't split the pole. You don't walk under ladders. That's those are things you grew up learning. You don't do that.
So tell my listeners what splitting the pole is. So if you and I are walking down the street, what does it mean if we were to split the pole?
You go right, I go left.
That's right. We go on the same side of the pole.
We going on the same side of the pole.
And if somebody gets ready to go on the wrong side, you grab them and you pull them back.
Or you go around where they are.
Or you go around with them, but you do not. I mean, and some of them people were really serious about splitting the pole, man.
Yeah.
Man, no.
That's like hitting you when you were in the store. Girl came with the brush. She wanted to
brush the floor. And she wants to brush your arm because you don't let anybody sweep over your feet.
No. You don't let nobody.
You don't let anybody.
I don't have a clue what it means. All I know is you don't let the broom sweep your feet.
You do not let the broom go over your feet. So when that lady was, so I went to the place where Mr. Nolan's working, and the lady had a brush, like she was going to dust off the counter. She put on your arm, and you said, "No, don't." No. You said, "Don't." You told her, you said, "Don't do that."
Don't do that. No.
Because you didn't know what it meant, but you.
I don't know what it meant, but I know. That was something I grew up with that you just didn't do.
Okay. Did you have a Tony Curtis when you was growing up?
What is a Tony Curtis?
That was the process that black people used to have in their hair. They sort of twisted in the front like Tony Curtis. Did you ever have a process? It was chemical, so it was like a perm. But brothers used to get it. Yeah, but they would get in the front, would kind of be like curled up. They would call it a Tony Curtis.
No, actually, I had It wasn't a Tony Curtis. It was something like a
James
JFK.
Brown? Oh, like a what?
Kennedy.
It was like a Kennedy?
Yeah.
So you got your hair straight. Was it with a straightening comb or with chemicals?
Oh, it was with chemicals. I didn't do that till I was like 16 or so.
Your mama let you straighten your hair?
You have to understand, Alex. By the time I was 14, it was lucky if my mama seen me once a week.
Wow.
I was in and out the house, man.
Okay.
I was in the streets most of the time.
Okay. So you could perm your hair if you want to.
Yeah.
Who permed your hair?
They had a place in Chicago on the south side called Latisse. And that was the hairstyle.
That was the highest hairstyle in place. Did it burn bad?
Oh, yeah.
Them perms burned. Remember that scene in Malcolm X where they couldn't wash the water out of his head? They put his head in that toilet?
Yeah.
I got an S-curl once or twice, and that stuff burned me so bad. That was like in the 80s when I was in college. I got an S-curl. I liked the look, but I didn't like the burn.
No. I got a Jerry curl back in the 80s.
You had a Jerry curl?
Yeah.
Was it a nice one? It looked like you had nice hair.
Yeah. It was down on my shoulders.
I was going to ask you, was it down on your shoulders?
Yeah. And the only reason I got rid of it was I was the assistant. I was the department manager over at Burlington Coat Factory.
Okay.
And all of my clothes were, because my first vocation was a tailor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I used to make clothes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I had shirts like you with the collars and the dress shirts. That Jerry curl stuff just ruined your collars.
It ruined your collars. It ruins your pillow.
Yeah.
And it ruins your car seats and your sofas.
So,
y'all Google carefree curl. You'll see it. With them orange bottles, them orange and red bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah. You spread all over. Oh man, I had a feeling you had a Jerry curl. That meant you was trouble. That's what the bad boys used to wear. Them bad kids used to wear them Jerry curls. Man, I bet you were fun growing up. I wish I had some movies of that, man. I bet. Did you watch Superfly when it first came out?
No. Actually, I didn't.
You didn't. So come on, I'm gonna bring you in here to talk to you about some other stuff that you're really passionate about, motorcycle clubs. And so, well, first of all, let me just pause and ask this: for my non-black listeners, particularly my white listeners, do perms burn? I want you to go to alexg.com, and then you can find a place to write me, or you can tweet out at me on our X account, formerly known as Twitter. But I want somebody white to let me know that when you get perms, does it burn? Because it burns black people when we get it. So, Mr. Nolan, I met you around some Juneteenth celebrations.
Yeah.
Most people on here know Juneteenth, what it is. But you represented the Wolfpack.
Right.
A black motorcycle club. Now, I grew up watching old black and white, movies. I used to get cable from Chicago, Channel 9, 32, 26, 5, 7, all those. And so, I thought about Marlon Brando and those folks, Hell's Angels and all of these menacing writers. And there were some. They were bad.
And they still are, but they're known as 1%ers.
I saw that in my research. They're called the badasses are called the 1%ers. Got you. So then I started doing some research that black motorcycle happened like after World War II.
In Korea.
In Korea, yeah. So people came back, brothers came back wanting to do something with that adrenaline because they've been overseas and stuff. And they found what I understood to be camaraderie. Like people, rather than just sitting at home watching, Ray Rayner or Bozo Circus or something on TV, they wanted to Garfield Goose. These are things we used to watch in Chicago.
Yeah.
They would want to get out and do something. So talk to me a little bit about, first of all, before we get it, tell me a little bit about the history of the Wolfpack here in Madison. And what made you want to create that club?
Well, it started in Milwaukee.
Okay, so there's a Wolfpack in Milwaukee.
There's a Wolfpack in
Kenosha?
Madison, Milwaukee, Kenosha, Waukegan, Chicago, Jonesboro, Arkansas, Warren, Arkansas, Oakland, California, Ypsilanti, Michigan.
They're all over. So you all are subsidiaries.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. So it came out of Milwaukee, and so. But what made you interested in a black motorcycle club?
Actually, and this is gonna really kill the machismo on bikers. A woman taught me how to ride a bike.
Really?
Yeah.
And how did that come about? Was it?
She had a bike, and she needed a car. I had a car, and she had to go to work, and I didn't know how to ride a bike, and she took me over in Swiss Colony parking lot and told me,
And taught you how
I'm
to
going
do
to show
it.
you how to ride this bike.
Wow.
And she did.
Did you like it immediately?
I loved it.
Do you remember how large the motorcycle was?
Yeah, it was a Suzuki 450 GSL. I'll never forget it. It took me about 2.5 hours to learn how to ride it.
Okay.
And she looked at me, she said, give me the keys to your car, I'm gone. And I took her bike and I took off.
Wow.
No license, no nothing. Just
Well, and what year would that have been? Roughly.
80, 83, 84.
83. So around 83, 84, was that here in Madison?
Yeah.
Here in Madison. So then, were helmets big then? Helmets weren't required. No, when I rode in the 80s, I rode to college, helmets were not required.
Still not.
I thought they were. They're not required.
Not in Wisconsin.
So once you learned to ride, how long did it take you to get confident enough to get on the belt line? The belt line is one of our tributary highways, 12 and 18. And then, how long did it take you to feel comfortable enough to get on the interstate?
Well, what happened was I would ride around the city on her bike, and
Okay.
she would have my car. And I ran into some guys on bigger bikes.
Okay.
And that little Suzuki 450 hit the belt line with these guys, and they were on Harleys and gold wings.
Oh, were they really?
And they had some, mine was 450 cc's. Theirs was 1,000, 1,100.
They have real bikes.
They had some giddy up in theirs. And I had to crank the throttle on mine to try to keep up with them.
Now, were those black bikers or bikers from all
No,
backgrounds?
those were black bikers.
Those are black bikers.
Yeah.
And so at that point, Wolfpack wasn't here in Madison.
No.
Wow.
It was in Milwaukee, but you had guys from Madison going who were members of Wolfpack, and they would tease me like, dude, you got to get something that got some oomph to it. You got to get something with some torque on it.
Right.
So I went out and
You went out and got one?
got me a go.
What was you got a gold wing?
Yeah.
How large?
1,200.
1,200. Now, Mr. Nolan, tell me this, because a lot of this is interesting. You also, I've been wanting to talk to Mr. Nolan about this for such a long time. Could you have joined a white biking club in Madison when you were here? Talk to me about biking club. Biking culture, particularly here in Madison. Or did just black folks just
I'll tell you what. Before I got with the Wolfpack, before I even met the brothers from the Wolfpack, I had a girlfriend.
Okay.
Her daughter had a boyfriend
Okay.
who was a CC rider.
Oh, I forgot. Okay, the CC riders. Okay, is that a 1%er?
No,
Okay,
they're
CC,
not.
CC riders are not.
No,
Okay.
but they're all white.
Okay.
They only had, from my understanding, one black member in there. And I think Sam Neely's dead now, but that was the only black member.
Okay.
And I used to hang around these dudes. And most of them were a bunch of good guys.
Okay.
You had some rednecks in there, but for the most part, I got along with all of them.
Did they ever invite you to join their club?
When I got my bigger bike, they did.
Okay. But you had that little kitty bike.
Yeah, I had that little kitty bike. But when I got that bigger bike and they seen me ride and stuff, you need to come on and get with us. And I told them at the time, because by that time I had started to really learn bike culture.
Sure.
And I told them I can't join y'all because I can't prospect. I can't prospect for y'all because y'all do dumb stuff.
And prospect means look for new members?
Prospect means you have the intention on joining that club.
Oh, got you. Because they do stupid stuff, so you
Yeah,
couldn't
and
do it.
initiation, stuff.
Sure, so you couldn't do that.
And, like roll an egg across the street. No, no, with your nose. Or, hey, prospects are usually gophers. Go get this. Go do that. Go. Hey, I ain't nobody's flunky. No, I can't prospect for you.
Sure.
I mean, that's tantamount to slavery to me. I ain't doing it. You know, no, that ain't happening.
Now you said, Mr. Nolan, you understood bike culture. What is bike culture?
It's a different culture than average citizen. The average citizen looks at a biker and he sees all that leather and all that black and, you know, all them chains and stuff, and he thinks first thing out of his mind is Billy Badass or tough guy, and it really isn't. But that comes from, like you said, TV, Marlon Brando and James Dean and all them little programs they used to have on TV about bikers,
Right.
and how crazy they were. Well, the majority of the bikers are working folks. I mean, in our club, if you own a Harley or a Goldwing, or, you know, you paying $23,000 for that bike, you better have a job.
Right. Or you are Billy Badass. You're doing something illegal.
Yeah. Or you doing something illegal. And most of the bikers got jobs.
Okay,
so working folks.
So in the culture, so then, if you see someone, can you tell a fake biker from a real one? Like, let's say somebody's got a leather jacket on.
Yes,
can you look at them and tell that they don't have a bike?
No, not fake bikers. They used to have a place out here on the west side, Quaker State.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And they used to have what they call bike night.
Okay.
All the bikers come out there and hang out and listen to the music and stuff. Well, you could always tell the dudes who were faking it, the doctors and the lawyers and these type of folks, because they would stand around in brand new leathers that still had the creases in them and shiny boots, and, you know, I mean, the only time they brought their bike out, it was 80 degrees and the sun was shining. Otherwise, they kept it in the garage and polished on it. Those aren't bikers. Those are just people who own bikes and like to ride. You know, bikers, you can tell because most of their cuts, when you look at them, they're worn from the wind and everything else.
Sure.
And, you know, they got that air of, I ain't got to prove nothing out there, you know. And especially those that did 1K in one day. You can look at them and say, yeah, he's a rider.
You said 1K in one day, that's 1,000 miles?
Yep.
1,000 miles in a day?
Yep.
Have you done that?
Yep.
Wow.
Here to Denver.
Here in a day?
In a day.
What's that, like 18 hours?
More like 19, 20.
Wow.
But all you doing is riding, gassing up, and riding.
Man, once you
going
hit
to the bathroom and gas up and ride some more.
What about eating?
Yeah. Well, you munch a bunch. You know, you grab your sandwich or whatever. But for the most part, you hitting it.
Wow. So I want to come back to that in just a minute. I was doing some research also, Mr. Nolan, about this book called Souls on Bikes. What's this gentleman named Toby Gene Levinston was just talking about black motorcycle culture. And so you have these black and white soldiers that are together in Korea, in the Korean War and World War II, and they come back and America hasn't changed. Like, they're over there fighting in the troops together, in the trenches together against an enemy.
Same thing in Vietnam.
Right, Vietnam. Then they come back and things are still separate. And so was it that black bikers just want to be around black bikers? Was it that white bikers, like after World War II? Well, we know the answer to this. In the 40s, white bikers weren't trying to invite black bikers in.
Yeah.
So black bikers were creating their own culture. But like your group, you know, like you all have done raffles for bikes for kids and things like that. Did black motorcycle clubs do community-oriented things for kids and families, or was that not a part of it?
Most black motorcycle clubs who aren't one percenters do community service. One of the things the Wolfpacks, how they got founded was they wanted to put an image out there of black bikers being responsible men and doing stuff in the community. That was part of the charter.
I like that. You know, I was looking at this is Wolfpack Milwaukee's mission to promote the sport of motorcycle touring for its members while contributing to the community in which we live, work, and play. We will donate time, finance, and general community support in order to accomplish this mission. So this is a black motorcycle club talking about committing dollars, time, and support in order to invest in the community that they live in. That's not what people think about when they think about motorcycle clubs.
That's not what they think. But then again, they don't know bikers. I mean, that mission statement you just read not only applies to Milwaukee, that applies to every chapter in the Wolfpack.
Okay, so
That's
Kenosha, Oakland,
everybody. If you Wolfpack,
that's what you do.
that's your mission statement. That's why we go to Quaker House and do what we do over there. And
What do you do over there?
Thanksgiving, we help feed the seniors and stuff. We do stuff for them.
Yes.
For Christmas, we did stuff for them.
That's wonderful.
One of the social worker over there, Leanne, she's a biker, but she's not Wolfpack. Wolfpack was basically all males.
Okay.
Her club is Smoking Wheels. There's men and women. First black Madison police officer,
Pia James.
Pia James.
I've had her on this show.
She's Smoking Wheels.
Is she really?
Yes, she is.
Is that Leanne? Is that Leanne Banks?
Leanne Banks.
I've known Leanne since she was like kindergarten.
I hung out with her dad, Roscoe.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I grew up with her brother Fred. I've been friends with them for years.
They all
I didn't know she
bikers.
rode a bike.
Who?
Leanne, I didn't know she was a
Yeah,
biker.
she's got a bike.
Man,
See, but that's what I'm talking about. If people don't know you, my wife has got a bike.
wow. So you all ride together?
We all ride together. We all hang out. We all support each other.
What about how do groups act? How do people interact between groups? So you're part of Wolfpack Madison. But then you talked about Smoking Wheels.
Yeah.
So when you see them, are you friendly with those?
Hey, we are friendly with everybody. Even the white bikers, we are friendly with.
Gotcha.
We do not discriminate. We do not, if you're friendly with us, we're friendly with you.
Sure.
1%ers, we're friendly with, but
Keep your distance.
But we keep a distance.
Yes. Why support Black Like Me podcast? There are very few places where Black activists and innovators can listen to and hear someone so aptly and culturally appropriately voice their concerns and dreams and aspirations and fears and illnesses and cultural commonalities. Equally, there are so few places where concerned non-Black thinkers and feelers, readers and watchers, lovers of culture, stalwarts of racial justice and harmony can go to learn, lean in, and to be a quiet fly on the wall in Black spaces and experience deep personal transformation through listening to honest Black people's truth. Black Like Me podcast is that for so many people in this nation and around the world. Now, while your financial support beginning at as little as $2 a month will get you access to pre-released information, updates, conversations, insights, and exclusive events, your support also affords us the opportunity to expand the quality and reach of our excellent programming in thoughtful and authentic ways to more and more people. And more importantly, white people need to stop trying to get free shit from Black people. All right, seriously, your financial support is a vote of confidence, and it's an enabler of vision and innovation. So why not click that link today and join the movement? I want to thank you in advance for your support and your partnership. You know, it's interesting, Mr. Nolan. People listen to this podcast because they're wanting to understand more about black culture. A lot of people who listen, who are going to be listening to this show, just want to understand how black people function and how we survive and why we survive. And because most of them don't have close black friends and they don't have conversations with black bikers. And so tell me about how you're different because you belong to a bicycle club, because you're different because you belong to a motorcycle club, because you can ride a motorcycle, put it in your garage. I know friends that got their own bikes and they ride alone. But tell me what Wolfpack has done for you. How has it made you a different person?
It's just the fact that we like to ride. Part of the culture is riding.
Okay.
The other part is the community service aspect.
Mm-hmm. And you lead the parade for Juneteenth. Y'all do that every year from our church parking lot.
Yeah.
Right from where my studio is, right to wherever Juneteenth celebration is. You all do community service. So it's riding together and community service.
Yeah. And we've been doing that. And the thing about it is, if you see me on the street and I'm not on my bike, you have no clue I'm a biker.
Okay.
And that's cool. That's okay. I'm not trying to run around with others on. I'm this here and I'm Wolfpack. Who cares? Mm-hmm. You know, I ride because I enjoy riding. You know, not because I'm trying to put an image out there that I'm this or I'm that.
But when you ride, that creates brotherhood too.
Yes.
How do you benefit from the brotherhood of being in a club? Give me an example of how people have your back or you have people's back.
I'll give you a story.
Okay.
We were riding back before I was Wolfpack.
Okay.
It was about 10 or 12 of us coming from Milwaukee.
Okay.
We stopped down in Johnson Creek at the gas station.
At night?
In the daytime, in the evening.
Okay.
To gas up.
Sure.
The little clerk in there, she happens to see a guy, one of the guys who was riding, had a shoulder holster with a gun in it.
Oh, okay.
She got nervous and called the Johnson Creek Police Department.
Oh.
And all 3 squad cars came over there.
Wow.
Didn't bother us at all. And guy came out there and he says, "Excuse me, fellas, I understand that some of you all are carrying firearms. You know, who's carrying firearms?" Well, 3-4 hands went up. And he looks and he says, "Is there a reason for that?" This is before concealed carry.
Sure.
And the guy says, "Yeah, there is a reason." And he reached and he pulled out his wallet and he showed him Madison, City of Madison Police Department. It was Johnny Winston.
Oh, who was the first black police officer, one of the first black police officers in Madison.
Yeah.
And so
his son used to be
a fire in the fire department.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, it was Johnny Winston. We had JJ, who was a state trooper. He was riding with us. I mean, we had Jock Grant, who was Dane County deputy sheriff. He was riding with us.
So they had a right to have firearms.
Yeah, and the cop from Johnson Creek looked and he said, "Hey, fellas, forget it. You know, y'all go ahead on and have a good time." And went back in there and told the little girl, "Hey, them police officers you got me out here on." You know, but, you know, that happens.
Yes.
Or you will pull in the filling station 4 or 5 bikes, and you see these little old ladies sitting in their car, and they'll clutch their purse and roll their windows up like we're going to steal their purse or something.
Right.
And I look at them like, "Lady, you ain't got enough money in your purse to pay a note on this bike, you know."
I don't need that.
I don't need that. But that's the impression people get.
That's the impression.
Because they don't know.
How young do you have to be to join the average black motorcycle club? Like, can teenagers be in them?
No.
You got to be 21?
Yeah. There's a reason for that.
Drinking?
drinking, first of all, and most of the places we go to are bars and
Gotcha.
So now me, I haven't had a drink in 20-something years.
Okay.
I don't drink.
Sure.
And most of the people who I ride with don't drink. They might have a beer,
Sure.
but drinking and riding bikes don't mix.
That does not end up well.
No. And I will tell anybody who wants to ride or learn how to ride, take the MATC riding course.
You think that's a good way to go? Get the license, do it the right way.
Yeah. Because, like I say, and I tell people, if you say oops, it's too late. You done hurt yourself.
Wow.
Bikes are very unforgiving. That's why when I'm out here on mine and I see these little youngsters on these, what I call crotch rockets, popping wheelies on the belt line, I just look at them like, you're an idiot, you know.
That's dangerous.
That-
What about in places like L.A. where they go in between the lane? Do you ride like that?
No.
Because like sometimes you can just open your door
Scare me to death.
or
I've
just
seen it done. I've been out in L.A. when they did that.
They
come
roll down right in the middle of it.
4-lane traffic. They come right between the cars, zooming. And I'm thinking, if a dude decides to change lanes, you dead.
Exactly. Or just put his hand out the window just to
Yeah, you know, you hurt.
so you don't do that.
No.
What's the most dangerous part of riding a motorcycle? Is it careless motorcycle folks or is it careless automobiles? What's the biggest threat?
Careless. I would say the number one thing is careless automobiles. They claim they don't see you, or you're in their blind side when they switch lanes or something. That to me,
Ooh.
I watch all the cars around me, in front of me, and back of me, because if a car slams on his brakes and I'm running 60, 70 miles an hour, it takes me a little bit longer to stop that bike than it did him to stop that car.
Have you ever been in a bike
No.
car accident?
No.
Man, and you've been riding how many years? 40?
Close to. Not quite 40, but up there.
In the Wolfgang pack, do you have to all have the same bikes? Because I noticed when I did some of my research, like sometimes there are clubs where everybody's a Harley rider.
No. Some clubs say you need to have a Harley. Our club says over 1,000 cc's.
Okay,
We don't care if it's a Harley, a Honda, a Yamaha, a
Okay, long as over
Suzuki.
1,000.
As long as it's over 1,000, it can hit the highway.
What's the most beautiful souped up bike you ever seen up close? And what did it have in it?
There's two bikes.
Sure.
One was a Harley Road Glide.
Road Glide. That sounds
It's a big
fancy.
bike.
Harley Road. Okay.
110 horsepower. It was chromed out, and everything that wasn't chrome was gold plated.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Enough said. Wow. Did they have like a CB radio on it?
It had everything on it except for TV.
Wow. So a CB radio. Can you hear on a CB
Yeah.
on a bike?
Yeah.
I guess so. I guess like
It's got speakers
Police,
in the front, and our vice president in Milwaukee, Tip, has a bike that he enters into bike shows, and he's won in his class. And he's got these big Bose speakers on there, but they don't, you hear cars coming down the street, boom, boom, boom. His bike is crystal clear, and he has won contests on this bike. It's so
has he
nice.
really?
Yeah. Taking trophies.
So when people are riding bikes now, can they talk on phones? Like if they got the headsets on,
Yeah.
they can talk on phone. They
Yeah.
can hear radio.
Yeah. They've got these bikes now that the earpiece and the earwick that go in your ear and the speaker, you can talk, you can have a conversation. I don't suggest you do it.
Right.
Because I don't want to talk to nobody while I'm riding. I'll hit the thing and say, hey, I'm on my bike. I'll call you back later. Click. Because I want to keep my focus on the road. You know, I ain't trying to have a conversation with you.
Sure.
It ain't that important.
Right. It might be your last one.
Yeah.
Man. So how many miles have you put on your current bike?
There's a problem. And I got to be honest with you. Last year, I quit smoking.
Okay.
I came down with existential lower lung disease. I lost 40 pounds of muscle weight. And I had a couple of other medical problems.
Okay.
So I couldn't ride.
I remember you telling me that when I saw you.
I couldn't even get my bike up off the kick. My bike is a Gold Wing Aspen Cade.
That's big.
It is 1,000 pounds or more.
That bike's 1,000 pounds.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
And getting it up off the kickstand, and it'll balance nice, but just getting it off the kickstand and getting on it and getting it started and rolling. Because when you come to a stop, you got to put your feet down.
Yeah. You got to be able to balance that.
And you got to be able to balance it. And trying to balance 1,000 pounds when you lost a lot of muscle weight ain't no easy job. And I said, well, I can ride and die, or I can quit riding and live. I decided to quit riding and live.
You decided to live. And you know, Mr. Nolan, when you think about all of these clubs that were started by black men, and then there's some created by black women, and then some with black men and black women in it. You know, again, as I mentioned, these folks were coming home from foreign wars. If they didn't have the camaraderie of a bike club, if they didn't have that sense of giving back to the community, I would imagine that a lot of people could have been given over to alcoholism and crime and getting involved in the streets, going back to old ways of living. So I have to think that these black bicycle clubs really gave people a positive outlet. Do you think that's accurate?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. I'll give you a prime example. Motorcycle club.
Okay.
Buffalo Soldiers. They are all ex-military. Buffalo Soldiers and Motorcycle Club. They're all out of the military.
They're all former military. Got you. No, it's
they have an offshoot called Buffalo Troopers. Most of them are out the military. So you got motorcycle clubs that a lot of them are ex-military, and then you have some that aren't.
Sure.
But for the most part, you know, that's the way they roll. You know,
Sure.
and getting around. The fun part about this is, like I was telling you, is the National Roundup, which started years and years ago.
And what's the National Roundup for people listening?
National Roundup was originally known as the National Black Bikers Roundup. Every year,
All the clubs get together?
all the clubs get together.
Where?
It moved around from city to city.
Okay.
It started in Kansas City, but it has been all over the country.
Wow. Has it ever been in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee?
Yes, it has. It is not Milwaukee, West Bend.
Oh, I think you told me about that one, West Bend. How many people come to that?
70, 80,000.
And they just bike from all over the country
And they just bike from all over the country.
and take over the hotels and the restaurants.
Yeah. And it wasn't until about 10, 15 years ago, Ebony Magazine did something. I did an article on it, and they called it $10 million secret. Because they did not have a clue how much they made hosting the roundup. Well, it's not a one club deal. It's about maybe 5, 10 different clubs get together to host a roundup.
And they bring a lot of money to those communities.
Oh yeah.
That's amazing.
You talk about, like I say, they usually start on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and they go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then they have the vote Sunday for all the chapter presidents who are present to vote on where the next roundup is going to be.
Sure.
But every 5 years, it has to go back to Kansas City. This year, it's going to be in Springfield, Illinois.
Okay.
And like I say, I would love for you to come down there.
I gotta check that out. Can you come even if you don't have a bike?
Yes. Guys bring trailers, campers, all of that down there.
Do they really?
Yeah. Cars.
So now you said because of health challenges you don't ride your bike anymore. But are you still recognized by Wolfpack that you are still a member?
Oh yeah.
That's good. So you still have that brotherhood.
What was it? Last year I stepped down as president.
Sure.
And I've got over 20-something years in the club. So I'm known as a patriarch.
Okay.
So yeah, I can wear my colors when I want to. I can go where I want to. And the thing about it is, having been around that long, I know people in every state, in every club. So it's like, hey, and my club name is Roadrunner.
Okay.
I got that name because when I first joined the club, I was on the highway. I mean, I was on the highway constantly, going from point A to point B. Just to be going, just to do something, and I would roll. So I got to know a lot of people.
So in your heyday, when you're a little stronger, a little healthier, it would be nothing for you to get on your bike and ride down to Atlanta?
Yeah, but I wouldn't ride by myself.
Okay.
I would call one of the brothers, hey man, I'm thinking about a road trip. Where you want to go? Let's go to Atlanta. Cool, when you want to go? When can you get off work? Oh, I got time coming. Well, let's hit it. And 2 or 3 of us to get together and boom, we gone.
And you all, I mean, you've been riding since before GPS on your phones, watches and stuff. You all had to know the maps and stuff.
Yeah.
But I also imagine you all had to understand sundown towns or white communities you didn't want to be in at night. You had to figure all that stuff out.
Yeah. But you knew it. I mean, you knew it. And usually, like I say, if I'm going, say, to Little Rock, I'll call Chicago, tell Elf I'm coming through, call St. Louis, tell Uncle Joe I'm coming through,
Oh, so you clear the road. You let people know you coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what does that do?
It don't do, if you break down, you got somebody to call. Hey, Uncle Joe, what? I'm 40 miles from you up here on Interstate so-and-so, so-and-so. Get a trailer, come get me.
That's nice. So you call Chicago to let them know you coming through. You call St. Louis.
Yep.
With other major cities, Nashville, whatever you're going through,
you let them know you coming through. And most of we got club members who got families all over the place.
Oh, sure.
Like I got a club brother whose family is in St. Louis. I got a club brother whose family is in Blytheville, Arkansas.
Sure.
And nothing. Hey, I call his brother. I got him in my phone. Hey, man, people wonder why you carry a lot of cash. Well, if you get a flat tire, tow truck don't want to hear credit card. They want to hear money.
Right.
So you got to have it,
Wow. Mr. Nolan, this has been really good talking to you. Listen, you all, my special guest has been Mr. Nolan Dunham, and he's talking to me as the founder of Wolfpack Motorcycle Club here in Madison, Wisconsin. It's a black motorcycle club And one of the things I just want listeners to understand is these clubs were created because they weren't accepted in white motorcycle clubs. When people see black people doing cultural things, they think, why do they have to have their own? Why do they need a black beauty shop? Why do they need a black motorcycle club? Why do they need a black church? Because we weren't accepted in these other spaces, and we weren't going to not ride bikes because one percenters didn't want us in. We weren't going to not worship because churches wanted us to stand in the balconies without seats when it's 110 degrees up there. We weren't going to not go to college because universities wouldn't let us in. So we created black institutions. But this is part of the brilliant black resilience. This is part of the black persevering spirit that if we don't get let in, we create our own, and we create our own bike shops, and we sell to ourselves. But this is all a part of thriving. But when we have space where we don't have to acquiesce, we don't have to kowtow to other kinds of rules, and we can be ourselves and have this strong camaraderie, it just helps us to express ourselves and to be the stronger, better sense of ourselves. And I just want to give you an example of this by allowing you to talk to a historic black motorcycle club member and figure in our community. So listen, folks, you know someone who loves motorcycles in your family. You know some people that would enjoy hearing this. You know some people that have thought about riding and didn't understand the importance of bike culture or if they should join. Share this story with them. We create this content, but not for you just to keep it to yourselves. We need you to share it with the world. So take a moment and repost this with your thoughts. Write a review when you go to, Podcast by Apple or other places. Wherever you download this, write a review. It's been a while since I've really asked people, write a review and let us know what this podcast means to you. Another thing you can do is you can click our Patreon link, because starting at as little as $2 a month, you can become a supporter of this podcast so that we continue to provide great programming, and we market it more so that more and more people benefit to this to this content that we're creating. So do that as well. So I want to thank you all for considering this. Most of all, I want to thank our listeners, for folks who come on here and you listen to what we're doing, you listen to what I'm saying, you're listening to what's happening in the world so that you can lean in, understand better, and become a part of the change you really want to see in the world. So I want you to have a great day. Help us to spread our wings more. Help us to get this out to more people. All right, because we want folks to really understand life from a black perspective. All right, so thank you so much for allowing Black Like Me podcast to be a part of your reality and a part of your day. Go on and have a great day, and we'll see you soon.
Black like me. Black like me.
I want to thank you for taking time to listen to this episode of Black Like Me podcast with Dr. Alex G. When I first imagined doing this podcast, I thought about myself with my iPhone sitting in a room in my house, just sort of doing this all on my own. But you know what? The reason why we've won awards and the reason why we have over 200 episodes up is because I have a brilliant team who helps me to make this podcast what it is. So let me take a moment and thank Jeremy and Eli, who are my editors and producers extraordinaire, Jakisha, who handles marketing. If you like that opening track of our theme song, you can show your appreciation to Corey Saffold, who created that and produced it, and Marcus Fleming, my cousin, who's on vocals. I also want to say that this podcast was started with the generous support of the Human Family Unity Foundation, and so we always want to stop and thank them for that. For the many patrons who support us through our Patreon page, thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't just listen, but you support, you lean in, and you help this podcast to be what it is. And then I need to thank you, the listeners, who make a point of downloading this, listening to it, and sharing it. Without all of you, this podcast would not be what it is and what it's becoming. Thank you so much.
Black like me.